Kirtan ki. I would just like to check if Hariram Ananda Prabhu is here with us. Prabhu, if you're here, would you like to unmute yourself so then we can spotlight you?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Janmastami celebration, I'll sing a small bhajan. Jai Jai Gopal,
Thank you very much, Harinam Ananda Prabhu and family. Thank you very much for taking us through a wonderful Kirtan today. We thank you, Hare Krishna, Harinam Ananda Prabhu from our Kirtan Dubai team, a wonderful preacher and a great Kirtaniya. Thank you for blessing us today, Hare Krishna. So
Thank
today
you.
we continue with His Grace Devakinandana Prabhu, all the way from Mumbai. The last that I had been in touch with him, Prabhu was holden to a farm community in Maharashtra, and His Grace Devakinandana Prabhu is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, has been there in the moment from the late 70s, has served in ISKCON Mumbai, ISKCON Vrindavan, is part of the GBC body. He is also a very specialist in fundraising, not only in India, he's also part of the fundraising committee that works on training people for fundraising as well as fundraising for the moment for various projects for the GBC. Also, he has very wonderfully built a beautiful temple in ISKCON Kanpur, which is supposedly one of the biggest halls that is there, fully marble clad. And in addition to being actively into reaching out to people, building temples, connecting with senior businessmen from all over India and the world, Prabhu is also a wonderful pracharak, a wonderful speaker. He's done a whole series in Hindi on the Atma series that was very, very famous in the olden days. And also he does Srimad Bhagavatam Katha all over the world. So we have had the good fortune of having him recently once in Damodar Desh, and we have heard him a few times during lockdown. And today I had invited him also, being Janmastami and the festivity of Janmashtami continuing. I had requested that we hear from him in his wonderful Hindi and take us through the Krishna Janama and associated stories and philosophy. Over to you, Devakinandana Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances on behalf of everybody here in Damodar Desh. I'd like you to connect on to your video if you can. His Grace Devakinandana Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tai Gaur Premanande. Hari 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 Bol.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Everyone, please accept my obeisance. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, today's topic is reflection on Janmastami.
Can I request and remind you to that you can speak in Hindi today?
Oh, great. I was going to ask you. You know my mind. I mean, you stole my word. I was going to ask you whether I speak in Hindi or English. Good. Okay. तो आज का विषय है जन्माष्टमी के ऊपर विचार। तो अभी हम लोग 7 दिन तक जुहू में बहुत सुंदर कृष्ण जन्म के ऊपर मैं कथा किया था, और ऑफ कोर्स लॉकडाउन है, लेकिन भगवान गीता में कहते हैं कि जो उनका सेवा करना चाहता है, ददामी बुद्धि जोगम तम येन माम प्रपद्यते। भगवान बुद्धि देते हैं कैसे कोई उनका सेवा कर सकता है। और ऐसे भी कहा जाता है कि जय कृष्ण भजे से ही बड़ा चतुर। तो आप सब लोग इस काम के जितने भक्त लोग हो, सब चतुर भक्त लोग हो। अब इस काम के भक्त जानते हैं टाइम प्लेस एंड सर्कमस्टेंसेस के अनुसार कैसे कृष्ण का स्मरण किया जाए, कैसे प्रचार किया जाए। प्रभुपाद जी 4 बात बताए कि प्यूरिटी दी फोर्स, Books are the basis, utility is our principle, and preaching is the essence. तो मैं देखा कि preaching is the essence, इस बात को सार्थक किए हमारे भक्तों ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड से, कि जूम जो था एक तरह से ब्लेसिंग हो गया। और मुझे कुछ कथा करना पड़ता, क्लास करना पड़ता, 2 जाना पड़ता, लेकिन जूम है तो हम लोग यहाँ से ही बात कर सकते हैं। डेली अलग अलग भक्तों से सुनने का अवसर मिलता है। तो जूम के द्वारा हमारे भक्त लोग ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड प्रचार में लगे हुए थे। यूटिलिटी या प्रिंसिपल हम लोग यूटिलाइज किए टेक्नोलॉजी को, इस जूम को, और अंततः प्रचार करना था तो प्रचार किए। मैं थोड़ा सा श्री कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी के विषय में थोड़ा हरि कथा करेंगे हम लोग। उसके बाद किस प्रकार से जन्माष्टमी मनाई गई और उससे हमें शिक्षाएं क्या मिलती है, उसके ऊपर हम विचार करेंगे। जब हम जन्म का बात करते हैं या जयंती का बात करते हैं तो हम लोगों को हमेशा ध्यान रखना चाहिए श्रीपाद सनातन गोस्वामी और श्रीपाद जी गोस्वामी इसका विशद वर्णन किए हैं कि जयंती किसे कहते हैं। यदि भादो महीना हो, कृष्ण पक्ष हो, और उसमें यदि रोहिणी नक्षत्र आता है कृष्ण पक्ष में, तो उस दिन को या उस पक्ष को हम जयंती कहते हैं। कृष्ण का आविर्भाव हुआ था, भादो का महीना था, कृष्ण पक्ष था और वह अष्टमी का दिन था, उसमें रोहिणी नक्षत्र लगा हुआ था। इसलिए केवल जयंती शब्द है वह केवल कृष्ण के लिए है, जन्म शब्द जो है वह कृष्ण के लिए है। इसलिए हम लोग कहते हैं कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी। हम लोग जन्म अष्टमी नहीं करते हैं। उसके बाद वामन देव का आविर्भाव किया है।
हरे कृष्ण।
तो
हरे
हम
कृष्ण।
लोग वामन जन्म द्वादशी नहीं कहते, वामन द्वादशी कहते हैं।
हरे कृष्ण। देवकीनंदन।
वैसे ही राम जी का हम लोग राम नवमी कहते हैं, हम लोग राम जन्म नवमी नहीं कहते हैं। तो सिर्फ
हरे कृष्णा। देवकीनंदन प्रभु, आपका इंटरनेट थोड़ा सा कमज़ोर है, आ, तो स्टक होता जा रहा है आपका जो कथा बता रहे हैं।
Hare Krishna. I think we have a small problem with Prabhu's internet connection. I think he's just connected back again. Let us wait. Devakinandana Prabhu, if there is a problem, I request you to switch off your video and be on the audio. Let's all be chanting Hare Krishna until Prabhu comes, please. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dr. Ji. Thank you very much. I think we are closing the session now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Until Prabhu comes, let me just say a few things about the rest of the evening today. Now, we wanted to have many kirtans, and we have two special speakers. One is Prabhu, and we shall wait for him to join back again. Yes, I see him connected again. Yes, Prabhu has come back. I stopped. Over to you, Prabhu. You may want to consider switching off your video if you want, if you think your internet is a little... Thank you.
Yeah, his internet is very weak. Switch off his video.
Yeah.
You can switch off your video. We are not able to hear you that clearly. You can switch off your video and speak, if that's okay. Not audible. Yes, it's...
Can you hear me?
Now better. Now better. Keep the video off. We can hear you like this. Go ahead, Prabhu. Please talk.
Okay, yeah. था कि जैसे हम लोग आजकल कहते हैं बलराम जयंती. Yes, I am speaking now. तो जैसे हम लोग आजकल कहते हैं बलराम जयंती, बलराम जयंती नहीं है, बलराम पूर्णिमा कह सकते हैं. गीता जयंती डिफरेंट है, तो एक तरह से कह भी सकते हैं, नहीं भी कह सकते हैं. एक केवल कृष्ण के लिए ही रिजर्व. हम लोग सुन चुके हैं कि किस प्रकार से अवसर पर भगवान अपने भक्तों का रक्षा करने के लिए इस धराधाम पर आए. गीता में कह चुके हैं कि वे क्यों आते हैं. परित्राणाय साधूनाम विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि जुगे जुगे. लेकिन यहाँ पर आए भगवान कृष्ण अवतार में एक स्पेशल प्रयोजन था, और उसका कारण था, 3 कारण था. एक, कंस आदि राक्षसों के द्वारा, असुरों के द्वारा माता पृथ्वी को दुख, काल के द्वारा देवकी और वसुदेव को दुख, और कृष्ण के ईश्वर्य को के अज्ञानता के चलते ब्रजवासियों को दुख, या संसार के लोगों को. तो ऐसा हुआ कि जब कंस का अत्याचार हो रहा था, तो उस समय भगवान श्री कृष्ण बड़े व्यथित तो थे ही, लेकिन जब माता पृथ्वी सब दुख को सह सकती थी, लेकिन वो जो दुख हो रहा था कंस के द्वारा, वो सह नहीं पाई. तो माता पृथ्वी एक दिन गाय का रूप धारण कर करके और गई अपने पिता ब्रह्मा जी के पास. कभी कभी हम देखते हैं कि जो पुत्री होती है, पुत्री पहले तो दुख सहने का प्रयास करती है, लेकिन जब दुख सहा नहीं जाता है, तो वह अपने पिता के पास जाती है। देखिए, पुत्रियां जो होती है, बेटी जो होती है, अपने बाप माँ के बड़े नजदीक होती है, और जो बेटे होते हैं वे, बेटी जो होती है बाप के नजदीक होती है, और जो बेटे होते हैं वो माँ के नजदीक होते हैं। स्वाभाविक है, बाप सब कुछ सह जाएगा, लेकिन पुत्री की आंखों का आंसू वो नहीं देख सकता है। तो इस प्रकार से जब माता पृथ्वी ब्रह्मा जी के पास गई और रो रो करके अपना दुखड़ा सुना रही थी, बात बतला रही थी, उन्हें किस चीज का दुख है, क्या दुख है, तब ब्रह्मा जी समस्त देवताओं को साथ में लेकर के क्षीर सागर पर गए और पुरुष सूक्त के द्वारा भगवान क्षीरोदक्षाई विष्णु से प्रार्थना किए। और तदुपरांत भगवान ने कहा समस्त देवी देवताओं को कि आप सब लोग जाकर के ब्रज में इधर उधर जन्म लीजिए। ब्रह्मा जी आकर बताए भगवान ने जो कहा था, भगवान ने ब्रह्मा जी को कहा और ब्रह्मा जी बताए, और भगवान कहे कि मैं स्वयं आऊंगा। तो पहले देवकी के 6 पुत्र हो चुके थे, जिन 6 पुत्रों को कंस मार चुका था। ऐसे ये जो 6 पुत्र हैं, ये है षडगर्भ। ये लोग ओरिजिनली ब्रह्मा जी के एक पुत्र हैं, उनका नाम है मरीचि। ये मरीचि के पुत्र थे। और एक दिन ये लोग ब्रह्मा जी के पास गए, तो आप लोग जानते हैं कि इंटरेस्ट इज स्वीटर देन कैपिटल। तो जो नाती पोते होते हैं वो दादा दादी को बहुत प्यारे होते हैं। तो ये लोग गए, ब्रह्मा जी बड़े खुश थे। ब्रह्मा जी से लोग पूछे कि दादाजी आपने यह पोजीशन कैसे प्राप्त कर लिया, इतने बड़े हो गए, सब देवता लोग आपका पूजा करते हैं, सब लोग, आप इस पोजीशन कैसे प्राप्त किए। तो ब्रह्मा जी बतलाए किस प्रकार से वो तपस्या कर करके और इस पद को वे प्राप्त किए। तो ये लोग जा करके तपस्या करना प्रारंभ कर दिए। ये लोग भी तपस्या करने लगे। जब ये लोग तपस्या करने लगे और ब्रह्मा जी सुने, तो ये है अवज्ञा। हमें सीखना चाहिए। ब्रह्मा जी एक आचार्य है, गुरु है, उनसे परमिशन नहीं लिए तपस्या करने के लिए, बिना परमिशन के लिए, बिना परमिशन का तपस्या किए। तो ये अनथ, कोई भी काम करे तो परमिशन से करे। बिना परमिशन का कोई काम करता है इंद्रिय तृप्ति के लिए, यह शास्त्र विधि उत्सृज्य वर्तते काम का न न परांगति। I'm sorry. Yeah.
Devakinandana Prabhu, it looks like your connection is very, very bad. Waiting.
I was too busy today. I had so many meetings.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Devakinandana Prabhu, we are unable to hear you. There seems to be some problem. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna. We have a problem with Devakinandana Prabhu's connection. We're just going to give him a call, and I have requested to see whether he can come online. I'll put you on speaker. So please bear with me for a second. Yes, Devakinandana Prabhu. Yes, we are able to. I'm able to hear you now. I'll transfer it to the Zoom from my connection. Yes, go ahead. You can continue to talk. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Let's see. Can you talk a few words? Can you chant Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm audible. I think you're audible, and I'll try and check whether others are able to hear also. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hare Krishna, I am very sorry, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu.
आज दिन भर कल एक मीटिंग हुआ, मेरा इंटरनेट खत्म हो गया, जोर जुट गया। तो मैं कह रहा था कि बाद में वही ये 6 बच्चे जो मरीचि के पुत्र थे, तो हिरण्यकश्यपु के पोते के वे लोग पुत्र हुए, यानी विरोचन बलि महाराज के तरह से भाई हुए। और वे लोग भी वैसा ही गलती किए जैसे ब्रह्मा जी के साथ में किए थे। तो उस समय हिरण्यकश्यपु ने श्राप दे दिया कि जाओ तुम लोग अब अपने बाप के हाथ से मारे जाओ। इस प्रकार से वो सब गर्भ लोग इस धराधाम पर आए और बलि महाराज के साथ पाताल लोक में ये लोग बलि महाराज के साथ में थे और योग माया उन लोगों को सुधा दी थी। उसके बाद में ब्रह्मा जी ने कहा था कि भगवान के हाथ से तुम तो ये लोग थे कितने मारे गए थे बाप के हाथ से, यानी के हाथ से। सातवें जो थे भगवान के अंश द्वितीय स्वरूप जो आए बलराम जी पश्चात बलराम जी आए थे, लेकिन बलराम जी आए थे देवकी के गर्भ में। अब बलराम जी इटरनली जो है तो वे रोहिणी जी के पुत्र। प्रश्न उठता है कि बलराम जी क्यों आए देवकी के गर्भ में? तो बलराम जी कृष्ण के सेवक, हम लोग किसी के सेवक है। ईश्वर से एकमात्र सही है और सब लोग सेवक हैं। बलराम जी प्रथम सेवक हैं भगवान के। ये सेवा करते हैं, कभी छोटे रूप में आकर के, कभी बड़े रूप में आकर के। चेतन के काफी आदि लीला के अध्याय 5 में इसका वर्णन किया गया है कि बलराम जी भगवान का सेवा करते हैं 5 रूप। एक तो उनकी पर्सनल सेवा करते हैं अनंत शेष के रूप में, अनंत शेष के रूप में पर्सनल सेवा करते हैं। और उसके बाद में भगवान के सृष्टि कार्य में करते हैं कि प्रथम सृष्टि जो हुआ चतुर्थी हो, जिसमें वासुदेव शंकर पर अमृत प्रद्युम्न यानी स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड का सृष्टि, और 3 जो यहाँ पर विष्णु है, कारणोत्साही विष्णु, गर्भोत्साही विष्णु और क्षुद्रोत्साही विष्णु। तो इस प्रकार से 5 रूप से भगवान का सेवा करते हैं। तो इस बार बलराम जी भगवान के अवतार से उसके प्रिय अवतार यानी त्रेता युग में वे लक्ष्मण के रूप में आए और भगवान का सेवा कर रहे थे लक्ष्मण के रूप में। लेकिन जब सीता मैया को भगवान श्री राम वनवास दे दिए थे, तो जब सीता जी को लक्ष्मण के लखनऊ, जिसे पहले लक्ष्मण पुरी कहा, रसाल कर लखनऊ कहा जाता है, वहां पर ला करके छोड़े और बतलाए कैसे प्रभु राम ने आपसे त्याग किया। उस समय लक्ष्मण जी का हृदय दृढ़ हो गया और उन्होंने दृढ़ से किया कि सेवा तो करूंगा, लेकिन अब छोटा भाई बन करके बड़ा। इसलिए बलराम जी बड़े भाई के रूप में आए थे। तो ये प्रश्न रहता है कि देवकी के गर्भ में सेवा, क्योंकि बलराम जी का काम है सेवा करना। अब प्रभु आने वाले, भगवान आने वाले हैं, देवकी का क्या कहते हैं, बल्कि बल्बाचार्य कहते हैं कि देवकी के गर्भ में असुर लोग, तद गर्भ जो थे वे असुर, और असुर लोग जहाँ रहते हैं गंदगी फैलाते। तो भगवान गंदा जगह पर कैसे आ सकते हैं? इसीलिए भगवान आए देवकी के गर्भ को साफ करने के लिए, और दूसरा बात कंस को कंफ्यूज करने के लिए, क्योंकि रोहिणी जी उनकी माता है। इसीलिए भगवान ने योग माया से कहा कि योग माया तुम जाओ और देवकी के गर्भ में मेरा उसको निकाल करके और माता रोहिणी के गर्भ में स्थापित करना। प्रश्न उठता है कि ऐसा भगवान ने क्यों कराया? कि एक बात यह है कि वो माता रोहिणी के ही पुत्र हैं इटर्नली, जैसे कृष्ण इटर्नली देवकी और वसुदेव के पुत्र हैं, वैसे ही इटर्नली बलराम जी माता रोहिणी और वसुदेव के पुत्र हैं। तो एक बात यह था। दूसरा बात, यदि कृष्ण बलराम जी जन्म लेते तो कंस क्या करता? कंस आता मारने के लिए, और बलराम जी को मार नहीं पाता, कंस मारा जाता, तो फिर भगवान का आने का कोई अवधान नहीं था, भगवान फिर आते नहीं। या यदि मान लो 1 सेकेंड के लिए कंस भगवान जी को मार ही देता तो पृथ्वी रसातल में चली जाती। तीसरा बात था, भगवान चाहते थे कंस को कंफ्यूज करना, इसलिए 7वां गर्भ जो था चूक हो गया। आजकल पता नहीं, लोग जानते हैं कि नहीं, पहले यदि किसी के 8 बच्चे हो, जिसमें 4 बच्चे मर गए हो, तो क्यों नहीं कहता कि मैं 8 बच्चे हैं, कहेंगे 4 ही बच्चे हैं, 4 मर गए और चले गए। वैसे ही जो गर्भ चूक हो गया इसका गणना नहीं था। तो इस प्रकार से बलराम जी आए और योग माया आई। योग माया जब आई तो योग माया कुछ ख्याल, अब योग माया आकर के और बलराम जी को आकर्षित कर करके वहां पर निकल गई। और जब भगवान इस धराधाम पर आए 8वें गर्भ के रूप में, तब उस समय देवकी का
ఆడియో కట్ చేస్తాను. ఆయన ఆడియో కట్ చేస్తాను.
Sir, we cannot hear anything. Mute.
Shivala Prabhu, we cannot hear you anything.
Hare Krishna, sir. You are not audible, sir.
On. But before we do that, I just wanted to mention that today is also the Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Bhakti Nityananda Swami Maharaj, who is a disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. He's in Mayapur. Actually, Maharaj has been tested positive for COVID. He's already having various other difficulties. So we also seek prayers for everybody for Maharaj's health. I request everybody to chant once Hare Krishna for both His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and for His Holiness Bhakti Nityananda Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have Hari Gopal Prabhu who will take us through now, after which we'll have Swarup Damodar Prabhu, and sharp at 7:30 we shall have His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. Hari Gopal Prabhu, as we've run a little late, I request you to close in, say, 20 minutes time. Yeah? By 7:10, if you can complete, it will be very nice. Thank you. Over to you. Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam.
जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समावेद घोर भक्त वृंद की जय, निधाय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। singing this nice Kirtan called Jugalashtakam, Krishna Premamayi Radha, and a little Mahamantra after that, if we can squeeze that in, and I'll hand it over to Swami Prabhu. Krishna Premamayi Radha, Radha Premamayo Hari,
Krishna Premamayi Radha, Radha Premamayo Hari,
Krishna Premamayi Radha, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nithai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari.
Thank you very much, Hari Gopal Prabhu, Dandat Pranam to your entire family for the wonderful kirtans. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So I think we just 2 days ago, we heard Krishna Premi Mai Radha. We heard it in a completely different tune today. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. So can I now request His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu to switch on, come along with his wonderful team, his family members ready.
Me, I am already on now.
Yes, you're welcome to go on. Thank you.
Everybody is
Please.
able to hear me.
Yes.
And is everyone able to see us also?
Yes. Your son is cut half. He can move a little
Okay.
towards it. Yep.
Now?
That's
Good.
better. That's better.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. So, Prabhu, about 20 minutes or so. How much? 25 minutes?
Yep. Yep. 20 minutes. Exactly.
All right. So, since I was thinking of doing 2 bhajans, but since we are running out of time, I'll do only 1 bhajan, Prabhu.
One bhajan with some Hare Krishna on it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So, Yashomati Nandana Braja Bharadana.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Shivala Prabhu, for giving us this chance. Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Yashomati Nandana Braja Bharanagara. Yashomati Yashomati Nandana Braja Bharanagara. Everybody loudly. Gokula Rangana Kana. Gokula Rangana Kana. Gopi Parangana Madana Manohara. Gopi Parangana Madana Manohara. Gopi Parangana Madana Manohara. Kaliya Damana Vimala. Kaliya Damana Vimala. सब बोलिए Kaliya Damana Vimala. Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa. Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa. Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa. Amala Harinam Amya Vilasa. Vipina Purandara Navinadara Bhuja. Vipina Purandara Navinadara Bhuja. Ramji Badana Suvasa. Ramji Badana Suvasa.
Nand Goshan Rathala Govinda Madhav Nagarita Kanda Sundarananda Gopala Yashomati Nandana Rajaparananda Yamuna Katichara Gopi Vasana Gopi Vasana Ras Rasita Kripamoya Kripamoya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Bhakti Vinada Shaya Bhakti Vinada Shaya Yashomati Mandana Gajarananda Bolo Yashomati Mandana Gajarananda Gokularangana Pala Gokularangana Pala Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa Vishwamati Nandana Brajaparananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram, Hare Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Krishna Balaram Ki Ram Ki Nanda ke Ananda Vayo Kanya Lal ki Nanda ke Ananda Vayo Kanya Lal ki Jai Kanya Lal ki Jai Kanya Lal ki Jai Kanya Lal ki Jai Kanya Lal ki Oh, Nanda ke Ananda Vayo Kanya Lal ki जवानों को हाथी घोड़ा बूढ़ों को पानी जवानों को हाथी घोड़ा बूढ़ों को पानी ओ नंद के आनंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल के नंद के आनंद भयो जय कन्हैया लाल के हे गोविंद हे गोपाल केशव माधव दीन दयाल हे गोविंद हे गोपाल केशव माधव दीन दयाल दीन दयाल केशव माधव दीन दयाल ओ दीन दयाल केशव माधव दीन दयाल ओ हे गोविंद हे गोपाल केशव माधव दीन दयाल हे गोविंद हे गोपाल केशव माधव दीन दयाल Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Prabhupada ki Shri Krishna Balaram ki Shri Krishna Janmastami Mahotsav ki Damodar Desh Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Shri Radhe Shama.
Hare Krishna, Swarup Damodar Prabhu, and the kids, wonderful kids. Thank you all. I know I gave you a very short time, but still you brought a flavor of Janmashtami, Nandotsava, etc. Thank you very, very much for being here with us today. Dear devotees of Damodar Desh, we are very fortunate today to have with us His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, all the way from New Jersey. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj needs no introduction to any of us here in Damodar Desh, as well as to anybody all around the world in Srila Prabhupada's movement. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj has been a regular visitor to Damodar Desh. Due to lockdown, we missed the opportunity. Generally, otherwise in March, he would have stopped once, and again in October, he would have stopped again, transiting through Damodar Desh. And we have always had the great fortune of his transits from almost, I remember, from 96 onwards. Maharaj has been practically on an average twice a year. And so we have had the longest absence of Maharaj this time. Now, I'm very happy to see Maharaj is very safe, and he looks safe and healthy, well rested. Now, I would like to just say a few words. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj is basically from America, joined Srila Prabhupada's movement very early, if I remember correct, in 1967, 68, and 68. And Maharaj has been a part of the very early team serving Srila Prabhupada, involved in books, involved with BBT, involved with editing Srila Prabhupada's books, involved with publishing Srila Prabhupada's books, involved in Back to Guarded magazine. Even till today, Maharaj is connected with BBT and books and editing and writing. Maharaj is a sannyasi, an initiating guru in the moment, and a traveling preacher, a traveling monk. We're very fortunate to have had many, many visits of Maharaj, and many of you in the congregation would have had an opportunity to meet Maharaj, host Maharaj, and we look forward to that opportunity again post-lockdown. So thank you, Maharaj, for accepting our invitation. We look forward to hearing from you. The last 5 minutes, I request you to keep for a rapid-fire question-answer session, and I hope there are questions. Devotees, kindly post your questions on the chat forum. And if there are no, I will still open it up for those who may want to ask any questions to Maharaj at that time. Thank you, Maharaj. Please guide us.
Thank you, Lord Prabhu.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna. This is called a Zoom transit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shamaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtachade Satarane Vanchakolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Padita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Well, in Srimad Bhagavatam we find Dishya Haresya Bhavatapado Puvo Bharo Panitas Tavajanmaneshitu Tishyankitam Tvat Padakai Shushopanai Shakshyama Gam Jyam Shatavanu Kampitam. The demigods are speaking, offering prayers to Lord Krishna in the womb. O Lord, we are fortunate because the heavy burden of the demons upon this earth is immediately removed by your appearance. Indeed, we are certainly fortunate, for we shall be able to see upon this earth and in the heavenly planets the marks of lotus, conch shell, club, and disc that adorn your lotus feet. In the beginning of this narration, we heard that that once the world, Mother Earth, was overburdened by hundreds of thousands of military phalanxes of various conceited demons dressed like kings. And then the earth approached Lord Brahma for relief. The Bhumi, Mother Earth, was overburdened by Dripta Nripa Vyaja, puffed up, conceited demons, Daitya, who were, who with their Anika, their Shata Ayutai, hundreds and thousands of soldiers, Akranta, forming a overburdening, Bhuri-bhavina, by fighting power. The Prabhupada comments in that purport about the demons elected to the chief office by votes, but not having the godly qualities that a king should have. And so they make it their business. They make the state, instead of making it something for the upliftment of the people in God consciousness, they make it like a business where the goal is how to make money as much as possible, especially for themselves and their wealthy supporters at the expense of everyone else. And the armies are extensions of that. They're like the enforcement arm of the business. In America, we had the mafia, still do actually have the mafia, and they're notorious for gangland killings and that sort of thing, which are really just ways of enforcing their compliance with their business principles. There's a famous German military strategist, Clausewitz. He says that war is essentially an extension of policy. War is an extension of policy. That is to say that we have a policy and then our armies enforce it. And of course, there's competition between the different states with different policies trying to enforce their policies, which in the present age have degraded to the level of corrupt businesses, which squeeze the money and life out of the ordinary citizen and direct it toward a few who prosper at the expense of the others. So this is, of course, vicious and nasty, and this nexus of state power and corporate interests. So, and it's resulted in the present demonic civilization, what Prabhupada called demon crazy. where so many nasty things go on, and the world suffers. The world suffers. So here, Dishya, by good fortune. Dishya means by good fortune, by the will of providence. Actually, it's by Krishna's own sweet will that he has appeared, that he will appear. Hare Sya, for the benefit of the world, Hare. Hare, of course, addresses Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And it means, Hare means, among other things, it can be an address to Krishna's pleasure potency, or directly to Hari, Krishna. Hari means one who takes away. So Krishna will appear to take away the burden of the earth. Tistya Hare Sya Bhavata Pado Bhuvo. The earth is compared to the feet of the Lord. Elsewhere in the Bhagavatam it said fire is one part of the Lord, and the earth is his feet. And Para apanitas tavajanmana ishitu. Ishitu means the supreme controller. Yes, the supreme controller. You'll appear bhadaha apanitas, to remove this burden, to relieve the earth of this burden. Tavajanmana, by your so-called birth. The ordinary living being takes birth because he has to. He's stuck. He can't do anything else but take birth. But the personality of Godhead, Sambhavami Atmamaya, he appears by his own internal potency. That's among the differences between the Lord and the living entity. Living entities appear in this world by force, by compulsion. And the Lord appears by his own sweet will. Elsewhere, there's a word in one of the verses which says that he appears for the sake of his own enjoyment. I think that comes in the next verse. Yeah, in the next verse. Vina vinodam bata tarkayamehe. Your birth is for your own pleasure. You come because you want to come, that's all. But here, this is also the Lord's pleasure. The Lord takes pleasure in protecting his devotees, and he takes pleasure in smashing the demons. Both of these are enjoyable activities for Krishna. In fact, Jai and Vijay were sent to the material world, or given sort of a choice. What would you rather have? 3 births as demons, or 7 births as devotees? So it was a sort of a rigged choice. So we'll be demons. Why? Because Krishna enjoys fighting. That's also pleasure. Just as a king keeps some wrestlers so that he can enjoy fighting with them. So that's also enjoyment for Krishna. Prarchanaya sadhunam, he enjoys protecting the devotees. And vinashaya chadushkritam, that's also pleasure. To wipe up the floor with these demons is also enjoyment for Krishna. So bhara upanitas, he removes the burden of the earth by his so-called birth, a birth which is really his transcendental appearance. We call it Janmastami, the day of Krishna's Janma. But Krishna's Janma is Divya. Janma karma chame Divya. And one who understands this becomes eligible to go back to Godhead. Those who don't understand it who think that Krishna is an ordinary human being are mutas. Avajananti ma muta manasham tanamashvata. Parambhavam ajananto mamabhuta maheshwara. They don't understand Krishna at all, and therefore they don't get the benefit that Krishna extends to his devotees. But even those who don't understand Krishna benefit by his appearance in this world. They may realize it and take to Krishna consciousness. They may not realize it. Still, some benefit will be there for them. But indirectly, like getting, fire from putting your hand over the RT lamp from 3 feet up, you don't quite get the same warmth. Cooking in a pot that's hanging 2 feet above the stove, you don't get the benefit. So pada upanita stava janmana ishitu. And distya ankitam tvat padakai shushobhanai. And it's also by good fortune. So twice here, distya, by good fortune, the demigods are in ecstasy. The demigods are expressing their transcendental happiness. Dishya, by good fortune. Dishya ankitam tvat padakai shushobhanar. By good fortune, your lotus feet, tat padakai, will be marking the surface of the earth. Ankita means marking, and marked, the earth will be marked, tvat padakaya, by your lotus feet, shushobhanai, which are, how does Prabhupada say it? Transcendentally decorated with the marks of the conch shell, the disc, the lotus, the club. Shushobhana. Shobhana means beautiful, shining. So very nice. And Prabhupada comments, well, he says it in the translation, he also comments. Actually, Prabhupada himself, you could say, goes into ecstasy here, or gives us a meditation on Krishna's lotus feet. The Shankachakra, Gada Padma, and flag and thunderbolt. When Krishna walks on the earth or in the heavenly planets, these marks are visible wherever he goes. The Acharyas say they're visible. Of course, they're visible in Vrindavan, in the dust of Vrindavan. And in the heavenly planets, they're visible because there are parijata trees and they spread pollen everywhere. And so Krishna's lotus feet or footprints are impressed in the pollen. Vrindavan Dham is a transcendental place because of Krishna's walking on this land frequently. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were fortunate to see these marks here and there. So this is Vrindavan when Krishna was present. Everywhere his footprints were there. Someplace else the Acharyas say that Krishna wouldn't, I was hearing from Indraduna Maharaj was speaking about this, that the people wouldn't sweep over Krishna's footprints. They would leave them undisturbed. So everyone was fortunate. And when Akrura went to Vrindavan to take Krishna and Balaram away to the festival arranged by Kamsa, upon seeing the marks of the Lord's lotus feet on the ground of Vrindavan, he fell down and began to groan. In Nectar of Devotion, it said that Akrura cried out, "How wonderful it is! How wonderful it is!" Yeah. Imagine if you were to walk out your door and suddenly see authentic footprints of Krishna, freshly imprinted, like if you have Rangoli or something on your outside your door, and you see that Krishna has walked on it and impressed it with the marks of his footprints. So Vrindavan was like that, impressed with the footprints of Krishna. And Akrura was seeing these wonderful footprints. And he'd been meditating all day. he'd headed out from Hastinapur, not Hastinapur, yes, Hastinapur in the morning. And then he was meditating that I'll see Krishna, I'll see Balaram. They'll know that even though I'm sent by Kamsa, I'm actually their well-wisher, and they'll address me as uncle, and I'll see their lotus face. I'll see their lotus feet that are worshipped by the demigods. So he was on and on, thinking of Krishna, thinking of Krishna, thinking of Krishna, thinking of Krishna. And then when he arrived in the evening in Vrindavan, there they were, the footprints of Krishna. So Akrura fell down on the lotus footprints of Krishna in ecstasy. These marks are visible to devotees who receive the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tavanukampitam. Drakshama gam dhyam chat tavanukampitam. The demigods say, we'll be so fortunate that we'll get by your causeless mercy, we'll be able to see these marks. Anukampita means, yes, causeless mercy. The mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods were jubilant, not only because of the appearance, not only because the appearance of the Supreme Lord would do away with the burdensome demons, but also because they would be able to see upon the ground the transcendental marks from the soles of the Lord's lotus feet. So they were joyfully praying to the Lord, we'll be able to see your lotus feet, and you'll get rid of the demons. The gopis always thought of the Lord's lotus feet when he was walking in the pasturing grounds, and as described in the previous verse, simply by thinking of the Lord's lotus feet, the gopis were fully absorbed in transcendence. Avishta cheta nabhavaya kolpate. Like the gopis, one who is always absorbed in thought of the Lord is beyond the material platform and will not remain in this material world. It is our duty, therefore, always to hear, chant, and think about the Lord's lotus feet, as actually done by Vaishnavas who have decided to live in Vrindavan and always, and think of the Lord's lotus feet 24 hours a day. The Krishna appears just to create a subject matter. Krishna's lotus feet means Krishna completely. It's not that there'll be like a display case somewhere with Krishna's lotus feet. Not like that we only think of the feet. But when you think of the feet, and that's the starting place, then you think about Vrindavan, where the footprints are impressed on the dust. And then you think about the Shankha and the Chakra and the Gada and the Padma and the Thunderbolt and the flag, all marks on Krishna's lotus feet. Then you think of Akrura and Akrura's journey to Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes with Akrura. And Akrura came for Krishna and Balaram, so you think of Krishna, you think of Balaram, and you think of the gopis who were always absorbed in thinking of Krishna's lotus feet when Krishna went to the pasturing grounds. You think of first canto where the earth in the form of a cow is feeling separation after Krishna's departure. My surface was graced by the footprints of the Lord. Now that will no longer happen. So there's so many things. And Krishna's lotus feet means his feet, his ankles, his thighs, his waist, his chest, his arms, his lotus face. So Krishna's lotus feet means actually everything. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahaprabhu was explaining Srimad Bhagavatam to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami said, I heard that you told this, explained this Atmarama verse in 64 different ways. So if you could repeat that explanation that you gave to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again explained it. And then he said that, oh, by your association, I just thought of another meaning. Atmarama, another meaning for the verse. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, actually, every word, every syllable of Bhagavatam has unlimited meaning because it's not different from Krishna. Every word is not different from Krishna, and therefore every word is unlimited. So this is Krishna's absolute nature. There's no difference between Krishna and his lotus feet, or between Krishna's lotus feet and his holy name, between his feet and his face and his flute and everything. So thinking of Krishna's lotus feet starts a meditation, as we see here in Prabhupada's purport, on so many topics concerning Krishna. And that's another reason for Krishna's appearance, just to create a subject matter. Just to give us, why should we have to waste our time reading The Economist or Time Magazine or Gulf News or whatever, when there's so many wonderful topics? There's so many dead topics of this material world, but there's so many wonderful topics of the spiritual world. And Krishna comes to just so that there'll be something to talk about. Like his stealing butter. He steals butter and raids the homes of the gopis and causes so much mischief. And then the older gopis troop into Yashoda Mai's home and start laying out their complaints. He does this, he does this, he does this, he does this. So it appears to be that they're complaining, like angry tenants or something like that. But actually this is enjoyment, that they come to lodge complaints. And what is their lodging complaints? It's to describe all the wonderful activities that Krishna performs in Vrindavan. And Yashoda Mai is listening to these wonderful activities. And even Krishna is listening, so that the gopis say, he does all this mischief, and now there he is, sitting just like a very good boy, as if he's not a troublemaker. So the gopis are enjoying describing the transcendental activities of Krishna. The Yashoda Mai is enjoying hearing, and even Krishna is enjoying hearing these so-called complaints, which for him are sweeter than the prayers of the Vedas, sweeter than the hymns of the Vedas. The Vedas, all right, they're glorifying Narayan with great reverence and respect, devotion. But Krishna enjoys more hearing the elder gopis of Vrindavan complaining about his mischief. This is enjoyable. And that's one reason he does so much mischief, just so that there'll be something to talk about. So Krishna comes to this world and performs so many wonderful activities, which we're still talking about, and can go on and on and on. Ananta Shesh is glorifying the Krishna's activities with his thousands of tongues for thousands of years, and never repeating himself. Vayam tu navatripyama uttama shloka vikrame yat strinvatam rasagyanam swadu swadu pade pade. So Janmastami is meant for that, for hearing and chanting about Krishna. And every day is meant for that, for hearing and chanting about Krishna. Sri Ballava asked me to leave 5 minutes, so I'll leave 15 for questions, if there are some. Otherwise, I can talk more, but I wonder what questions there might be.
As we don't yet have anything in the chat box, I request if some of you have some question, please unmute yourself. Let me okay. Allow participants. We have allowed participants to unmute. If somebody wants to unmute, please, with discipline. We don't want people behind talking and music going on. Just if you can unmute, ask some questions, Maharaj would be answering you. Over to you all. You can unmute and ask questions.
Or you can stay mute and not ask questions, as you like. All right, then. Nate bhavasyesha bhavasya karanam vina vinodam tarkayamahe bhavo nirodha stitir apya vidyaya kritayatas trayabhaya shriyatmani. The demigods continue. O Supreme Lord, for you, there's no birth or death. Abhavasya. Abhava. You don't come into being like an ordinary living entity. You're not like that. Yes. You are not an ordinary living entity appearing in this world as a result of fruitive activities. Therefore, your appearance or birth in this world has no other cause than your pleasure potency. Vina vinodam. Vinodam means enjoyment. You're not coming for any reason, despite what is said in the comment, in the word for word Prabhu says, despite what is said, you are not forced to come to this world by any cause, karana. Vina vinodam bata tarkayamahe. One cannot argue tarkayamahe, but must simply understand that these are your pastimes. The living entities who are part of you have no cause, similarly, have no cause for miseries like birth, death, disease, and old age, except when these living entities are conducted by your external energy. The demigods address the Lord as Abhaya Ashray, fearless shelter of all. Fearless shelter of all, the lotus feet of Krishna. And Bhava Nirodha Stiti Avidya, the birth and death and everything in between, comes upon the living beings because of avidya, ignorance or illusion, the influence of the external energy. So and the Shastra said, Asanga hiya yam purusha, the living being has no real connection with the material energy. It's by illusion that we seem to belong to this material world, that this appears to be our home, that we appear to be troubled by birth, death, viruses, old age. None of these actually affect the living entity, but we identify ourselves as enjoyers. And when we try to enjoy separately from Krishna, then we implicate ourselves in an illusory world full of difficulties. So the world is meant to be a place where the spiritual realization is possible. where one can advance materially and spiritually side by side. So when there's too much disruption, Krishna appears. Or from another point of view, he appears so that we can take the direct route and just immediately engage in his service. Sarvadharman pratyaja mamekam sharanam praja. And in the Kali Yuga, Kali Kale Namarupe, Krishna avatar. Krishna comes in the form of his holy name. The demigods are praying that the earth is fortunate because its miseries will be delivered, will be relieved by the lotus feet of the Lord. So the lotus feet of the holy name also can relieve the world from so many miseries. And therefore we're meant to take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. Or another point is that our founder Acharya is known as Prabhupada because he's always, along with him, we get the lotus feet of the Lord. He doesn't claim to be Prabhu, the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller, like the rascals and fools, the false incarnations. But he claims to be situated at the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service and bringing the lotus feet of the Lord in the form of the holy name of Krishna. So we can take advantage of Krishna's presence most effectively by taking shelter of the holy name, and we can distribute Krishna's holy name to others. That's our good fortune. There are philosophers who do not believe in the Lord's incarnation and who ask, why should the Supreme Lord come? But the answer is, why should he not come? Why should he be controlled by the desire of the living entity? The Lord is free to do whatever he likes. Therefore, this verse says, Vina vinodam bhatatarkya tarkayamahe. It is only for his pleasure that he comes, although he does not need to come. Though sometimes people would ask questions, why does Krishna have a peacock feather? Why is Krishna blue? Well, he likes it, that's all. That was Prabhupada's answer. Yes. Okay. Seems that the chat box is now open and people can put questions there if they have such things as questions. Comments are welcome also, whatever you'd like.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Who do we have here?
Thank you for the wonderful class, Maharaj. I would like to ask you one question. I mean, you mentioned gopis, that they used to come to Yashoda's house and they used to talk about Lord Krishna. And you talk about the importance of hearing. What I would like to ask you is, since I'm not established at the Shravanam stage itself, finding it very difficult to really listen and understand things, how do I understand this top-notch prema bhav of the gopis, I mean in different rasas?
By hearing. You're not established in hearing?
I find it very difficult even to understand. I mean, really comprehend.
That's a different. Understand or not understand? That's a different thing. Srila Prabhupada, one time, I was with him along with some other devotees, and he told the story of how he decided to stay back with his Guru Maharaj when there was the Vrindavan pilgrimage, and it was announced that this evening there'll be Parikrama Shesha Mandir, or those who want can stay back, and Guru Maharaj will be speaking Harikatha. So Prabhupada thought, why will I go see, what will I see? Let me hear from Guru Maharaj. And his Guru Maharaj marked it, that this boy likes to hear. And Prabhupada said, because I was enthusiastic about hearing, now I'm enthusiastic about chanting or preaching. And then Prabhupada said that 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 I would go on hearing. He said that was my policy, or whatever you might say, that I would go on hearing. He said I would understand or not understand. He said, actually, my Guru Maharaj used to speak from the highest exalted platform. He said, even when he would speak in Bengali, I could not understand. But I would go on hearing. That was my policy. So that should be our policy, to go on hearing. And if we want to understand higher topics, Krishna's business and Vrindavan, different relationships and rasas and so on, then we should hear Bhagavad Gita as it is. The understanding of Krishna's activities in Vrindavan begins with understanding books like Ishopanishad, Upadeshamrita, Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's here it's said, the lotus feet of the Lord are the place where we begin to think of Krishna. So the lotus feet of the Lord are first canto, second canto. So with these topics, we have to begin. And then step by step, then Krishna will reveal everything. But if we try to jump up and understand the intricacies of Krishna's internal energy, we will misunderstand. One has to take, just like you get some medicine, it says, follow the directions of the physician. So this is the method. Begin at the beginning and patiently go on hearing, understand or not understand. Tadvidhi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya. Go on serving, go on hearing, and gradually everything will be revealed. Is that all right?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Parameshwar Gaur Prabhu. Certain portions of Srimad Bhagavatam is more relishable than the subject of creation. Is that right? Why is it so? Creation is difficult to understand. More relishable? Creation is also a relishable topic. Srila Prabhupada was relishing talking about the creation also. He said the pure devotees don't reject even a drop of the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not that that 10th canto is relishable and first canto, second canto, this is just like kind of obligatory stuff that we have to get through. Bhagavad Gita, that's just like, yeah, you got to study it, otherwise you can't get into the 10th canto. These are relishable also. The devotees, just like Krishna's killing the demons, that's relishable. It's not that Krishna's activities are relishable only when he's dancing with the gopis, only when he's playing with Yashoda Mai. When he's killing the demons, that's also relishable. Krishna's devotees relish that. The subject of creation is relishable, especially since the demons have their own cuckoo bird ideas about creation. Problems of the chunk theory and so on. They have their bluffs, they have their reductionistic, materialistic ideas, which remind me, by the way, that especially those who are scientific minded, or even if you're not, there's a seminar series being given by Akandadi Prabhu called Atma Paradigm, which deals with the Krishna conscious answers to the questions concerning consciousness and its relationship to the material world, these topics that science is bluffing. If you Google Atma Paradigm, you'll find it. These classes are going on every Thursday. And let's see, they're every Thursday at 1 o'clock or 1:30 New York time. So they're actually possible. You could get them on your side, or else they're all put online and you can listen to them at your convenience. And they're relishable. Topics of creation, topics of the difference between consciousness and matter. It's not that only Ras Leela is relishable. Also, from the point of view of the conditioned souls, like for a sick man, what's relishable? A full feast of sweet rice, or and halava and this kind of stuff, or something that makes him feel better, something that cures his disease step by step, so that he'll feel better. That's more relishable. And in the mature stage, then he'll go for the big feast. But if he tries to go for the big feast now, he may think it's relishable, he may think this is the goal, but he just relapses and suffers. So one should follow the directions given by the bona fide spiritual master. Krishna asks, we hear many times Krishna is unlimited and has unlimited incarnations, but also we should discuss authorized incarnations from Shastra. For an outsider, they may say they are limiting the Lord only to incarnations in Shastra. And if not, if incarnations are unlimited, how do we identify who is and isn't an incarnation? Yes, good question. Well, it said he has unlimited incarnations, like the waves of the ocean. So why should we talk about the ones from Shastra? Again, the answer is like, why not the ones from Shastra? But why not the others? All right, show me those others. Here are the ones from Shastra. Here's Krishna who lives covered on a hill with the small finger of his left hand. Here's Krishna who kills the Kaliya Nag. Here's Krishna who performs so many wonderful activities. Here's Lord Ram who performs extraordinary activities, Kurma, Braha, activities impossible for any living being. Now show me your incarnation. What has he done? He's opened hospitals. Oh, he's opened hospitals. What has your incarnation done? Oh, he's worshipped Kali. Kali means manifestation of Maya, that's all. Oh, Krishna says, Ma'amekam Sharanam Vraja. And then now you're an incarnation and you're worshiping Kali and saying, just worship her. Or do whatever you like, Yatamat Tatupat. So fine, bring your incarnations. But the incarnation should show something wonderful in accordance with the Shastric descriptions. Either, like I know there was a Kalki avatar in South India. When I went one time, you saw there was one Kalki avatar, and you'd see people on the train with little Kalki avatar medallions. And who's the Kalki avatar? Does he appear on a white horse and a sword to kill the demons at the end of Kali Yuga? No, he appears 5,000 years into Kali Yuga and no horse, but he's got a wife and no sword. So what kind of nonsense Kalki avatar is this? So one has to know from Shastra what is Kalki avatar, what is what. And if you want to bring someone new and say, okay, it's not in Shastra, but not every incarnation is in Shastra. Okay, fine. But now show me something persuasive. Not just that you can produce a Rolex out of your sleeve. That's not all that impressive. Especially when somebody could trace every Rolex has a number on it because they're identified that way by the manufacturer. I mean, these are expensive watches. Each one has a number on it. And you suddenly, by your mystic power, produce a Rolex which is traceable to the local Rolex dealer. I mean, come on, give me a break. You know, what kind of incarnation is this? So These are some of the thoughts. It is stated in Shastra that Vrindavanam Parchaja Padamekam Nagachati. Can you please explain? Krishna never steps out of Vrindavan, not even 1 foot. Padamekam Nagachati. He never gives up Vrindavan, never leaves. That means that when Krishna apparently leaves Vrindavan, he's still there in his bhava form because the devotees are remembering him. Even now, Krishna is present in Vrindavan. And when he goes elsewhere to Dwarka, to Hastinapur, then that's Krishna's expanded form, Vasudeva. He appears the same, but the expert acharyas have explained that he assumes the Vasudeva feature when he apparently travels out of Vrindavan. So Krishna gets on the chariot of Akrura, but when they cross the border, now Vasudeva. And it's Vasudeva who kills Kamsa and so many other demons. Krishna just actually stays in Vrindavan. Anything else? Or
Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for this lecture and inspiring us. I have a question or a dilemma that when we interact with the outside of the devotee community, and we present our philosophy as we learn from our scriptures, then there's a lot of disagreement. So how to disagree without being disagreeable? I mean, how to keep our calm in such situations? Thank you. Thank you.
What's to disagree about? What is their point?
Yeah, if we tell the philosophy of what is the meaning of the human form of life and who is Krishna, the different pastimes. Of course, the 5th canto where we learn about this, there is a serious disagreement between how the creation is explained there. So, with the worldly people, disagreement.
First thing is, go ahead.
So my point, how to remain calm, how to disagree without being disagreed.
First thing is, in the Namaparad, to preach the glories of the name to the unfaithful. Those who have no interest, those who have no faith, those who are just arguers or critics, why get into Krishna's pastimes and these things? It's not for them. It's not for them. For them, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam. Keep it simple. The details of Krishna's activities are not meant for the non-devotees or the faithless persons. So you avoid disagreements by staying out of the subject matter for them. They're not interested. They just want to argue. But for them, the first thing is, this is very interesting, that Prabhupada, somebody was arguing, people would argue with Prabhupada and they'd get ahead of his argument. Prabhupada would present a simple point and they'd want to go on to step 2 or step 3, step 4. So, for example, Prabhupada would be arguing that there must be God and giving different arguments why there must be God. And so many arguments are there in our books, why there must be God. And Prabhupada would speak about that. And then the person would say, but why must Krishna be God? Prabhupada said, Krishna we'll talk about later. Krishna may or may not be God. That's another thing. My point is that there must be God. They don't even accept that there's God, and they wanted to argue about why Krishna should be God. You see? Why should he be dancing with the gopis? Why should he be doing this? Why should he be doing that? Why does he look like this? Why that? Why this? Why peacock feather? Why this? Why that? The first thing is you don't even accept that there's God. And you want to jump. So that's the first thing, that you agree on this point, that there must be God. And you should agree on this point, that if you're Hindu at least, that the authority is Bhagavad Gita. If you don't accept Bhagavad Gita, what kind of nonsense Hindu are you? And in Bhagavad Gita, even Arjuna says, Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhava. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna himself says, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidan Asti Dhananjaya. So our speaking is from Bhagavad Gita. We don't disagree with anybody. It's Krishna that disagrees with them. And we're just the mouthpiece. Or they're not disagreeing with us, they're disagreeing with Krishna. So, Prabhupada, I'll tell you another story. I've told this before. One elderly gentleman came to Srila Prabhupada, and he'd been reading different books from Vedanta Society and so on. And he was very respectful. He said, Swamiji, I like your movement very much, but one thing I don't understand is why your disciples say that you called, Swami Vivekananda a rascal, or Ramakrishna, I forget which. And I don't understand why you would call him a rascal. I always thought he was a very holy person. And Prabhupada said, who has said this? Who has said that I've called him rascal? No, you didn't say. If they have said that I have said, and I have not said, then they are rascal. So now the man's quite happy. Then Prabhupada said, he had a book sitting on his bookcase. This is 26 Second Avenue in his apartment. He took down the book, little blue book, hardcover. You know this book? Oh, Dr. Radhakrishnan and Vedanta Society. Oh, yes, oh, yes. So Prabhupada turned to a verse and said, read. So the man read the translation. Always think of me, to me give your homage, be devoted to me, offer everything to me. Prabhupada said, yes, he's a very good scholar. He has translated very nicely. Now the commentary, what does he say? The man began reading. It is not to Krishna that we must surrender, but to the unborn, beginningless, something within Krishna. Prabhupada said, just see. Therefore I say they are all rascals. And then Prabhupada quoted Namam Duskritana Murtha Prapadyante Naradhama Maya Pratagana Asura Bhavamashrita, and unpacked it word by word, explaining each word. And then Prabhupada said, it is not my saying, it's Krishna's saying. And if I'm Krishna's servant, I have to repeat the same thing. He said, what can I do? So this is the first thing, that there must be God, and that at least if you're Hindu, then Bhagavad Gita must be accepted. And then whatever Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we have to accept. And then even the story is famous that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was invited somewhere to speak, and they thought that he wouldn't come, but he agreed to come. But you can't speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. All right. But then you can't speak from this book and this book and this book. All right. You can't speak from the Puranas. All right. You can't speak from Bhagavad Gita. All right. Don't come. Because from all the, what is that? Ramayana Chaiva, what is that verse? That Hari Sarvatra Giyate. You go through any of the Shastras, whether you start with the Upanishads or you go anywhere, they're all talking about Krishna. Vedaischa Sarvairaham Eva Veda. So our business is to speak from Shastra. And that's our business. We don't have to, as far as possible, we can remember the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was so humble that he listened to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explaining Vedanta with some nonsense commentary. And he just sat and listened. So, Trinadapi Suni Chaina Turarapi Sahishnuna. So we can remember all of these things. But Srila Prabhupada himself sometimes didn't mind. We don't have to be, we may be disagreeable also sometimes, what can be done. But as far as possible, we Trinadapi Suni Chaina. We at ISKCON refer to Brahma Samhita to refer to Lord Krishna and his position apart from other scriptures. My doubt is, will the same be followed by other sampradayas, or only Brahma Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya? If so, why only our sampradaya? Is there any significance other than the same as found by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Well, that's the first thing. It was found in South India by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. South India was not the headquarters of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. This book was found in the Adikeshav Mandir, which must have been in Kerala. So why ascribe it to Lord Chaitanya only? It was there that he found it. That's the first thing. Then the next thing is that, all right, where Gaudiyas, somebody gave the accusation or the interpretation that this Brahma Samhita wasn't really found in the Adikeshav Mandir, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually composed it himself. To which Bhaktivinoda Thakur answered, wonderful. If this is actually the writings of Sri Chaitanya, then we'll worship it on those grounds. But in any case, all right, if you don't like Brahma Samhita, then we'll say the same thing from Bhagavad Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Harivamsa, from so many different places. And after hearing that, then you should become a Gaudiya Vaishnava, and then you'll accept Brahma Samhita. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spoke to the Patans on the basis of the Quran. So that means whatever you accept as authority, you accept the Quran as authority, we'll speak from Quran. You accept the scientists as authority, we'll speak from books of science. You accept the Upanishads, Bhaktisiddhanta, I'll speak from the Upanishads. You accept Bhagavatam, we'll speak from Bhagavatam. Whatever you accept as authority, whatever your authority is, all right. But we'll come to the same conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is that all right?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Wonderful lecture and a wonderful question answer session. I think one day I'm going to request you to just come for a Q&A session for the whole day, for a whole session. I mean. So we are really missing that. We look forward to your personal association. on your first flight when you're traveling to India, you should stop over through Dubai. And I'll be very happy to make bel puri for you if that's still a part of your diet.
Of course.
Thank you very, very much, Maharaj. Thank you for being here. Thank you for blessing us all. So,
thank you
on behalf of Damodar, Hare Krishna Maharaj. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and Thai Gaur Premanande. Hari, 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 Hari. Thank you. So, Maharaj has come all the way from the USA. We are going to continue to have another wonderful devotee from the USA. I request Kirtan Premi Prabhu to switch on his video and his audio. Kirtan Premi Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj. He has been one of the regulars to our Kirtan Rasa, has been an inspiration for the Kirtan Rasa, and has been a part of the Kirtan Rasa organizing team. We look forward to having him again and again. Now, it is Kirtan Premi Prabhu is in Alachua in the USA along with his wife and child, and so we're very happy that he is accepted to be part of our session today. I know he doesn't have a full team there, he doesn't have mridanga players, etc., but his voice is so melodious. Whether you give him a harmonium, give him a kartal or not, he can just sing simply, and it'll be more melodious. So over to you, Kirtan Premi Prabhu. And
thank you.
This today will be the last session of the day. I requested Mohan Goranga Prabhu to also join in, but in the interest of time, I would only like to finish with Kirtan Premi today. So we look forward to hearing from Kirtan Premi Prabhu. We look forward that the COVID and the lockdown ends on time, if possible. If there's any hope that we can get our Kirtan Rasa back on board first week of December, it will happen. Otherwise, we shall wait and see how it works. Over to you, Kirtan Premi Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Damodar Desh Yatra and all the Middle East devotees. And it's my honor to be here to do some Kirtan with you all. And we just have such a beautiful lecture session by Jayadvaita Swami. And without taking much time, all these can be understand, all the philosophy can be understand. And the goal is to chant the holy name. So I will do some little kirtan. I had my wife here, she was gonna play a little mridanga, but my daughter was sleeping. So she got a little time to sit, but my baby woke up, so she's gone. So I'll do a little kirtan with just my harmonium and a little gunguru. So please apologize for if you're, I think Kirtan is all about the holy name, and I would request everybody to chant. And that's the most important part, rather than all the musical embellishments and the creativity. So thank you very much, and Hare Krishna. Nam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Nam Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatadeshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna
Jai. Kirtan Premi Prabhu ki Jai. And Nadia is also a very good Mridanga player. Thank you very, very much. And Hare Krishna to both of you.
That's what the pandemic does to us. To sit and do kirtan. And luckily, it is in a positive way. It's good. We've been able to do a lot of kirtan. Every evening we do kirtan for at least 20 to 30 minutes. So it's good. And she's learning to sing and play mridanga. So that's really good.
What is new that you're learning?
What?
What new are you learning?
I actually am learning the piano. It's there. I did a few here and there. It's not easy, but trying to work with both my hands, it's not easy. Yeah.
And I presume you know to cook also.
She's been training me for a long time before pandemic, so I'm good. I can stay if it's brahmachari if I'm in this kind of situation, but sorry for her keep going, and because the baby keep waking up, and so I apologize to devotees. Yeah.
And giving us a flavor of Kirtan Rasa in short notice. And thank you very much, Kirtan Premiji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam to you and the deities in Alachua, the beautiful community. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear Tamil Desh Bhaktas. I think we are completing almost a 4-day session where we've had how many hours? On the first day, we've had almost 12 hours. On the second day, I think we had 5 hours. Third day, 5 hours. And the fourth day, 5 hours. 4 hours. So almost 50, overall 25 hours. That's wonderful. I thank you all for being here. We have a few days of respite. And then again, we'll catch on for Radhashtami and the following Friday, Saturday. I think it's coming along with a longer weekend. So we'll try and organize some programs. If there's anything that any of you have as thoughts, let us know. Today is the wonderful Vyasa Puja Mahotsava of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. On behalf of everybody in Damodar Desh, we pray for his good health. We pray for his blessings. I would request every one of you to join me in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Today also we learn is the appearance day of His Holiness Bhakti Nityananda Swami Maharaj. Though unfortunately he is stuck in Mayapur Dham with being COVID positive. So we really seek prayers from every one of you, because he has certain other complications, normal health complications are there. And being COVID positive in these complications can be dangerous. So we request every one of you to also pray for Maharaj. Please join me in chanting once for him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I had earlier appealed that we are looking at bringing a basic ventilator, a few other equipment and readiness for treating a lot more who may be affected in Sridham Mayapur. So you can see that appeal, and any of you would like to support in the medical equipment and the requirements for Sridham Mayapur, where the pandemic is slightly gaining momentum, please do so. I'd also appeal to all of you for the Janmastami and Radhashtami programs together. We wanted to reach out to so many temples and reach out and support over 50 temples for some part of their Janmashtami and Radhashtami Abhisheka deity worship expenses. So you can all reach your Lakshmi or commit on WhatsApp, and then we can see how to collect the Lakshmi, but we want to make the pledge to the temples. And also for tribal care, we were working on it. I would like to thank every one of the participants who were there on the different days, right from children to Balutsav children to the elders, the senior devotees, and every one of you. Forgive us if we have not given an opportunity to everybody, but we have tried to make it as involving as possible. And thank you very, very much. Let's close the Janmashtami festivities with a prayer. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavrindi ki jai. Ekam shastram devaki putra gitam. Eko devo devaki putra eva. Eko mantra tasya namanyani. Karmapi ekam tasya devasya seva. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva. Tvameva bandhuscha saka tvameva. त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणम त्वमेव सर्वम मम देव देव। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणत क्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंद गोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चाणूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम। कात्यायनी महामाई महायोगिन्यधीश्वरी नंद गोपसुतम देवी पतिमे कृते नमः। श्री कृष्ण शरण मम दासोहम कृष्ण तवास्मि। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you all. I'd like to end the Janmashtami series sessions today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.